What is up, YouTube? C here, and once again we're back with another video. And well, breaking news: Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are coming out of retirement to, well, as you can see, fight each other. And first thoughts. What the fuck, This is literally like, we've all know, fighters come out of retirement, especially, and men's MMA. We've seen guys like Jose Aldo come out of retirement. Hell, I think like a couple of days ago, Anthony Smith came out of retirement. So it's nothing shocking, but two legends of the sport. And okay, look, I know some of y'all don't know who Gina Carano is, but she is a WMMA pioneer, and she is famous in Hollywood, so she's very well known. And I mean, I'll read this article so that way y'all can get the information, and y'all can understand what I'm reading. And so I mean, it's just, I don't know, but basically, Ronda versus Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, super fight headlines Netflix's first MMA event. So yeah, it seems like Netflix is going to be trying to get into the MMA stuff, which is interesting. I mean, there was, before the Paramount deal was made, a lot of people thought the UFC was going to go to Netflix because, all the boxing stuff, and, I mean, it would make sense. But instead they went to Paramount and, got a lot of money out of that, and, it actually did work out, so, I mean, hey. But they're going to do this for Netflix, and this will be, quote, Rousey and Carano, two pioneers of women's MMA, will meet May 16th for a fight years in the making. Okay. So yeah, this fight, I mean, this was actually talked about for, a minute. This was actually a fight, talked about, but alright, let's get to the art. Let's stop, let me stop blabbering. Let's get to the article. Quote, Ronda Rousey is back, and she's ready to shake up the world of combat sports. I mean, I guess again. Today, Most Valuable Promotions, MVP, and Netflix announced that the mixed martial arts event that will be headlined by the return of former UFC champion and Olympic medalist, to her record right here, which y'all can read, who will compete in her first fight in nearly a decade against fellow women's MMA pioneer Gina Carano, record right here. And so, end quote. And so, I mean, it's just basic information, nothing to really say about. But Most Valuable Promotions, I try to look them up. It seems like they're, did some boxing stuff, but, this is their first dip into MMA, at least from what I know. So nothing else to really say about this. And next part, the historic fight night will take place on May 16th, marking Netflix's first ever live MMA broadcast and MVP's inaugural MMA event. Well, that just answered my questions. The bout will be contested inside a hexagon cage and will stream live globally on Netflix at no additional cost to subscribers, end quote. So, so hexagon cage. Now, I deadass forgot what a hexagon was. I think a hexagon is like, no, that's a pentagon. Hexagon is six-sided cage. Wait a minute. No, the UFC's cage is an octagon. What the hell? I don't know. Why did they change it? That's curious. Anyways, quote, after the record-breaking success in boxing, we wanted our first MMA event to be truly legendary, end quote. Gabe Spitzer, Netflix VP of Sports, says, quote, there are more than just athletes. These are more than just athletes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. This is just really a fucking, this is something you should see in AI or some shit. Quote, these are more than just athletes. They are generational stars, and having them headline our MMA debut at the Inuit Dome is a defining moment for us, end quote. Scroll on for everything you need to know about the competitors. So it seemed what to expect, and a word directly from the fighters ahead of this can't miss fight. I mean, shit, I guess. And this is the promotional video, which I'll edit in somewhere, from YouTube, so that way y'all can better see this. I'll let y'all get a brief glimpse of this. No, I'm not going to turn on the volume because this video will definitely get flagged. And, yeah. How to watch Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano on Netflix. Date, May 16th. Where? Inuit Dome in Los Angeles. Where streaming live globally on Netflix, included in all plans. What weight class will Rousey and Carano fight in? Rousey versus Carano will be contested as a featherweight bout at 145, which actually makes sense. I mean, some people, when they heard this, they probably, thought of this. Some people also probably thought they were going to compete at bantamweight, although, since both these fighters have... Gina hasn't competed in MMA since a decade and a half at this point, if memory serves me right, and Ronda nearly a decade. So, if these women were to actually fight at, 135, well, I mean, that'd be pretty hard. Also, Gina has never competed at 135, so, it wouldn't have made sense either, but, 145, interesting. Makes sense, though. Have Rousey and Carano ever fought before? Ronda Rousey and Carano will be fighting for the first time in the matchup in many years in making. Fuck, I can't read. Rousey shattered the glass ceiling for women's MMA during a record-setting run from 2011 to 2016, an Olympic medalist in judo. Rousey racked up several submissions and TKO victories, many of which came within 1 minute of the start time. After a dominant reign as UFC bantamweight champion, Rousey catapulted the WWE women's division toward its first WrestleMania main event in history. She is also a New York Times best-selling author, and her star power is on display in both the Fast and the Furious and the Expendables franchises. So, Rousey, got famous, obviously. Everybody knows this. Quote, "Been waiting so long to announce this," Rousey tells Netflix. "Me and Gina Carano are going to throw down in the biggest super fight in women's combat sport history, and we're partnering with the fighter first promoter, MVP, as well as the baddest streamer on the planet, Netflix. This is for all MMA fans, past, present, and future." So, here's actually something interesting. We're partnering with the fighter first promoter, MVP, which I wonder if that's a dig at the UFC, which I don't really think it is. This is coming directly from Ronda's mouth, so I don't know why she would do that. The UFC were pretty, nice with her, who knows. Or maybe she's just saying this, to help, promote them. And, I'm just reading way too deep into this, which is probably true. Next paragraph. "It's no coincidence that Rousey's return will be against another legend of the sport," Carano says. Quote, "Rousey came to me and said there is only one person she would make a comeback for, and it's been her dream to make this fight happen between us." End quote. Okay, so Ronda, apparently from what I'm reading, Ronda actually wanted this fight to happen. So, okay. Next paragraph. "Carano is one of the first combat sports stars to cross over into the entertainment industry after her remarkable MMA tear from 2006 to 2009, a time before women were invited to compete in the UFC, often recognized as the, quote, face of women's MMA, end quote. Carano's marketability and mainstream appeal outside of fighting led to an acting career. She earned major roles in Haywire, Fast and Furious 6, Deadpool, and The Mandalorian. She also headlined the first major MMA main event to feature two women in 2009, a landmark moment for the sport. So, yeah, see, told you, she was impactful. Next paragraph. "Through the years, a contest between Rousey and Carano was discussed but never officially materialized until now. Though Rousey and Carano are preparing to come to blows, they share a mutual appreciation and admiration. Quote, she thanked me for opening up doors for her career and was respectful in asking for this fight to happen, end quote. Carano recalls, quote, this is an honor. I believe I will walk out of this fight with the win, and I anticipate it will not come easy, which I welcome. This is as much for Ronda and I as it is for the fans and mixed martial arts community. What a time to be alive, end quote. And my favorite album. Anyways, how many rounds is Rousey versus Carano, and what size gloves will they wear? This bout will be professionally sanctioned under the unified rules of MMA and contested over 5 minute rounds using 4 rounds. So basically, basic MMA, stuff. So 5 rounds though, I mean, interesting. Guess that will be interesting to see. It seems like, these two do have mutual respect for each other. Now, whether that shows, through the promotion, who knows? They'll probably try and, start some stuff up to, build some hype. Although, I mean, this on its own is, something that, will definitely catch people's attention. But what are the rules for a mixed martial arts fight? So basically, it just talks about, all these, which I'll just, highlight right here, fuck, I can't even highlight this shit. Highlight right here, read this shit. You probably already read it already. How can I get tickets? Yada yada, Ticketmaster. And so, yeah. Now, I guess this will be the main event. They'll probably put some undercard fights on this. Now, what do I think? They'll probably maybe get some old retired fighters, to fight on this. And, so, I guess, that's just what I read the article, y'all probably read it on its own. This is Tudum by Netflix, so this seems to be, Netflix made an article. But, what do I think about this fight? I don't know. This is, a case of fighters just coming out of retirement, for, you've seen this in movies, we literally seen this in real life, George Foreman, Jose Aldo, we've seen fighters come out of retirement, do these fights. But, I mean, I don't know, man. This is actually, I see this more as, kind of sad because, I mean, Gina, she's been ostracized in Hollywood because, of her, political beliefs, which, I don't know. I mean, that's up to y'all to decide, there's no reason for me to talk about it here. Ronda, she's been disliked by the MMA community for, actually towards the end of her career, everybody was actually happy that Holly Holm and Amanda whooped her ass. And I mean, yeah, she kind of did have it coming, but I don't think these two, both of these, Ronda, she has a kid, I think 2 kids actually, I don't know if Gina has a kid, but, both these women have been out of the game for, well, for Gina, a decade and a half almost, and Ronda almost a decade. Now, if you do see, Ronda's, Instagram, or, you've, been in the MMA, media circus, so you'll see, clips of her, training on Instagram, so maybe she does train, somewhat, consistently, I don't know, man, it's just, okay, I am kind of, repeating what I'm saying, but, look, I don't really care about this, because I didn't grow up, okay, I guess I do kind of care, because, this is MMA, and this does kind of make us look bad, because we are literally allowing 2 fighters that are basically over the hill, and, just letting them fight each other. They shouldn't have let this happen, man. This is like a freak show fight. This is like one of those Japanese pride fights where, the fucking Fedor fought that 7-foot Korean dude, Hongman Choi. Actually, no, they never fought, but it was Bob Sapp versus, what's his face, Nogueira, Big Nog. It's just, freak show fight, but I guess who do I think will win this? Gina, she's well into her 40s. Ronda, she's approaching 40. And look, Ronda's grappling is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. And Gina, she literally hasn't fought since '09. And she was primarily a Muay Thai fighter. She does have a submission, as you saw with that record. But, it's not like she was known for her, any grappling capability. She's more known for, striking. And, as far as I know, she hasn't been, training, she seems to probably have job training, but it's probably because she is mostly private, which is good for her. Now Ronda, she seems to be somewhat active. I'm doing quotations with my hands, but I don't know. I guess I would have to go with Ronda because she could fix her striking if she really wanted to, and get it to a passable level that can match Gina's, which is. This was WMMA in the, late 2000s to early to mid 2010s where, the women kind of knew what they were doing, but also it was kind of not as polished as it is now with, fighters like Valentina, Zhang Wei Li, Amanda Nunes, what's her face, Kayla Harrison, not as refined as, those fighter skills, but I do think Ronda does have this, and I know some people are going to think, what about the Holly Holm KO and Amanda Nunes KO? Holly Holm is well documented to be a pretty good kickboxer, a very good kickboxing background, and Amanda Nunes, well, 1, she's the WMMA GOAT, 2, she's lesbian. If there's one thing to say, it's that, a lesbian will always beat a straight chick in MMA. There's probably some examples to be shown where that's not true, but hey man, it seems to be a pretty common thing. The more lesbian a WMA fighter is, she wins, but You know, I guess Ronda would win this because, I mean, her judo is very good. And I know some people are going to think she fought bums, but the fighters she fought, some of them would, you know, go on to, you know, still be competitive later on and, you know, still compete. Like, Misha Tate, she's still fighting, Misha Tate, you know, what's that, I'm trying to remember that Olympic silver medalist that she fought. She fought on Sarah McMahon, you know, she's literally an Olympic silver medalist in the first, you know, women's Olympics, you know, to take place. I mean, come on, y'all, that's pretty as well credentialed as it gets, you know, even though she probably didn't have, you know, the striking to, you know, at least making competitive with Ronda, but I mean, Ronda didn't fight bumps, you know. And Gina, you know, I mean, look, the only fighter you could really think of, like Julie Kedzie and Sarah, not Sarah McMahon, but Tanya Evinger, you know, like, they're, you know, like footnotes in MMA's history, and she literally lost to Chris Cyborg. She got her ass whooped. So I mean, and look, Ronda isn't on the same level as, you know, Cyborg. You know, Cyborg is very, very good striker, but if I had to choose, I'd say Ronda, just because she could definitely make her overall game good. I mean, Gina, you know, she'd have to, you know, have good takedown defense, and you know, Ronda was known for her throws. You know, nobody ever saw her use a double leg, but she, you know, has good judo throws and stuff. So who knows? Maybe Gina could study that and just, you know, counter or capitalize off it. But I mean, why should we even care about this fight? You know, this is literally a freak show fight. Like I said, man, it's just bullshit. But I don't know. That's really all I can say for this video. You know, I mean, I really got nothing else to say, man. I mean, I don't know. But if you like this video, you know, like, subscribe to YouTube stuff, you know, just hoping that everybody out there is happy with what they're doing, you know, do what you're happy with, as long as, you know, it's not hurting anybody, and just praying that everybody out there is safe, and that's all I really gotta say, y'all. Peace.